What if I told you a woman could conduct a full-blown affair for years, leave evidence everywhere, get caught multiple times, and still convince her husband that he was the problem for not trusting her? Impossible, right? I'm about to show you a real case where this exact psychological warfare played out. She didn't just hide the affair, she erased his ability to believe his own eyes. Hotel receipts became work expenses. Method number 3 will blow your mind because it doesn't just hide evidence, it makes you participate in your own deception. And if you've ever doubted your own instincts about your partner, she's probably already using it on you. Before I expose these secrets, I need a small favor. Hit that subscribe button so you'll know exactly when she's using these methods against you. Smash the like button and tell me in the comments what city you're watching from. Trust me, the number of men worldwide dealing with this exact situation is absolutely shocking. The first method is what I call digital surgery. She doesn't just delete messages, she erases them so skillfully that even an IT specialist couldn't find traces. Here's how it works. She uses apps with disappearing messages, Telegram with self-destruction, Snapchat, Signal. But here's the genius part. She never deletes conversations completely. She always leaves a few innocent messages like, "Thanks for the workout," or "See you at work." Why? Because complete absence of communication with a man looks suspicious. A few business-like messages create the perfect alibi. I remember Sarah, a client who mastered this technique. Her husband found her phone unlocked and checked her messages with her personal trainer. He saw exactly what she wanted him to see. "Thanks for today's session," and "Can we reschedule Thursday?" What he didn't know was that behind these innocent texts, they'd exchanged hundreds of intimate messages that vanished without a trace. The sophisticated ones even create decoy conversations. They'll text their affair partner from a different number, something obvious and innocent, while the real communication happens through encrypted channels that self-destruct. When you inevitably find the obvious texts, you feel guilty for suspecting her, never realizing you've only seen the tip of the iceberg. But before I show you the second method, know this. The next technique is so psychologically sophisticated that even experienced men fall for it for years. The second method is emotional inversion. When you start suspecting, she doesn't deny. She attacks your emotions instead. "Don't you trust me at all? After all these years you think I'm capable of that? It hurts me that you could even think such a thing." The brilliance of this method is that she turns you into the guilty party. Now you're comforting her instead of seeking answers. Psychologists call this guilt projection, but I call it a masterclass in manipulation. Here's what's truly terrifying. This works even on the smartest men, because love makes us blind to manipulation. I've seen Harvard-educated lawyers, successful CEOs, men who negotiate million-dollar deals for a living, completely crumble when their wives use this technique. Jessica used this method for 3 years. Every time her husband got close to the truth, she'd break down crying, talk about how his suspicions were destroying her mental health, how she couldn't live with someone who didn't trust her. He'd end up apologizing and promising to work on his trust issues. Meanwhile, she was meeting her lover twice a week at a hotel downtown. The most insidious part, she genuinely believes her own performance. In her mind, you're the villain for not trusting her, regardless of what she's actually doing. This psychological flip is so complete that she can pass any lie detector test because she's convinced herself that you're the problem, not her behavior. The third method is chronological camouflage. She creates perfect time alibis, but not how you think. She doesn't lie about where she was, she lies about when she was there. "Yes, I was at the gym." True. But she was at the gym in the morning, and somewhere completely different in the afternoon. She shows you a time-stamped photo from the gym, but that photo was taken an hour earlier. Social media allows delayed posting. She can be with her lover in a cafe, while her Instagram shows a photo from the office with the caption, "Working late." Let me tell you about Rebecca's system. She'd go to her yoga class every Tuesday at 6 p.m., take a selfie, but set it to post at 8 p.m. Then she'd leave yoga early, spend 2 hours with her affair partner, and be home by 8:30. When her husband checked her Instagram at 8 p.m., there was fresh proof she was at yoga. The time-stamped photo became her alibi. But the real genius is in the details. She'd come home slightly sweaty, not from yoga, but from the rush of almost getting caught. She'd mentioned specific things about the yoga class, information she'd gotten from other students before leaving early. Her husband never suspected because every detail checked out. The chronological camouflage works because we trust technology. We believe timestamps, location tags, and photo metadata. But all of these can be manipulated by someone who understands how digital alibis work. The fourth method involves money, and it's shocking in its simplicity. She creates invisible expenses. She pays for dinner for two with her card, but tells you she ate with a girlfriend. She buys gifts for her lover, but the receipt shows cosmetics or groceries. But here's the most brilliant part. She uses cashback and rewards programs. She spends your shared money, but returns part of it to her personal account. Technically, she's spending less family money while investing the difference in her side relationship. I know a woman who funded hotel rooms for 2 years this way, while her husband praised her for being such a frugal wife. She'd book hotels through cashback sites, use reward points accumulated from family expenses, and even get refunds on cancelled bookings that were never actually cancelled. Take Linda's approach. She had a joint credit card for family expenses and a personal account her husband never saw. She'd charge affair-related expenses to the joint card, but categorize them cleverly. A romantic dinner became client meeting. Hotel rooms became work conference accommodation. Gifts for her lover were household supplies or charitable donations. The financial invisibility method works because most men don't scrutinize every expense, especially when the overall spending seems reasonable. She's not spending more money, she's just redistributing it in ways you'd never imagine. But here's what makes this truly diabolical. She often saves money in visible areas to create a buffer for her hidden expenses. She'll clip coupons, find deals on groceries, suggest eating out less, all while secretly funding an entire parallel relationship. The fifth method creates a web of lies through friends, but not like in movies. She doesn't ask friends to lie for her. She creates situations where they lie without knowing it. She tells a friend, "If my husband asks, tell him we went shopping yesterday." The friend thinks it's a surprise for the husband. Even more clever, she actually meets the friend, but 2 hours later, then she tells you. Those 2 hours are spent with her lover. When you call the friend, she confirms, "Yes, we were together all day," not understanding she's covering an affair. Monica perfected this technique with military precision. She had a network of 5 close friends, each believing they were helping with different surprises or girls' time. Friend A thought she was planning anniversary surprises. Friend B believed she needed space for personal growth. Friend C was told about career networking events. None of them knew about the other's involvement. Each friend had a piece of the puzzle, but never the complete picture. When Monica's husband got suspicious and started calling around, every friend confirmed her stories because each had been given just enough truth to make their lies believable. The network method is virtually foolproof because it uses people's natural desire to help and protect their friends. These women aren't malicious. They're unknowingly participating in an elaborate deception because they trust Monica and want to support what they believe are legitimate needs. But the most insidious part is how she maintains these relationships. She actually does some of the things she claims, just not when she claims to do them. She really does go shopping with friend A, attend networking events, and work on personal growth. She's just doing them at different times while using the legitimate activities as cover for her affair. The sixth method is the most frightening, reality programming. She gradually changes your perception of normal. She starts staying late at work, but just a little bit. Every week, 10 to 15 minutes longer. After 6 months, you're used to her coming home 2 hours later. She introduces new traditions into your relationship. Let's have girls' night every Friday, or I need more gym time for my health. You support it, not realizing she's creating legal windows for affairs. After a year, you can't remember how things used to be. The new reality feels normal. Consider Maria's approach. She started with tiny changes. Leaving for work 5 minutes earlier, coming home 5 minutes later. Over 18 months, she'd gradually shifted her schedule by 2 hours in each direction. Her husband adapted to each small change without noticing the cumulative effect. She introduced new habits slowly. First, it was, I want to be healthier, so I'll walk after dinner. Then it became, I think I'll join that new yoga studio. Eventually it was, the advanced classes are only available in the evenings, and I really want to challenge myself. Each change seemed reasonable, even admirable. Her husband was proud of her dedication to health and personal growth. He never realized that yoga class had become code for meeting her lover, and those evening walks were phone calls to plan their next encounter. The reality programming method works because humans adapt to gradual change without noticing it. It's like slowly turning up the heat in a pot of water. The frog doesn't realize it's being boiled until it's too late. By the time you notice something's wrong, the new reality has been your normal for so long that you question your own memory rather than her behavior. The seventh method is reverse jealousy, a masterpiece of psychology. She starts suspecting you of cheating. She checks your phone, asks about female colleagues, voices casual suspicions. You start defending yourself and proving your loyalty. The genius is that someone who's jealous can't be cheating themselves. That's how our psychology works. If she suspects you, she must be innocent. It's perfect cover. Plus, now you feel guilty for any suspicions about her. How can I suspect her when she's so worried about our relationship? Rachel executed this flawlessly. She started by casually mentioning how close her husband seemed to his new assistant. She'd make innocent comments about how pretty the woman was, how much time they spent working together. She'd even joke about it. Should I be worried about your work wife? Gradually, the jokes became more pointed. She'd ask detailed questions about his workday, want to know who he had lunch with, suggest that the assistant seemed a little too friendly at the company party. Her husband, who was completely faithful, found himself over-explaining every interaction, showing her his text messages, and constantly reassuring her. Meanwhile, Rachel was having an affair with her yoga instructor. But every time her husband's suspicions were triggered, like when she came home late from class, she'd redirect by bringing up her concerns about his assistant. I know I'm being paranoid about your work situation, but it makes me so anxious that I can't think straight about anything else. The reverse jealousy method is psychologically bulletproof because it exploits our deep-seated belief that accusers can't be guilty of what they're accusing others of. It also creates a dynamic where any attempt to turn suspicion back on her looks like deflection or retaliation for her legitimate concerns. The eighth and most devious method is controlled chaos. When you get close to the truth, she creates a crisis in another area of life. Work problems, a relative's illness, financial troubles, something that demands your immediate attention. You forget your suspicions because you need to solve more important problems. A month later, when the crisis is resolved, evidence is erased, alibis are created, tracks are covered. I've seen a woman who staged car trouble every time her husband started asking uncomfortable questions. While he dealt with repairs, she cleaned up her digital trails. Emma was the master of controlled chaos. She had a repertoire of crises she could deploy at a moment's notice. Her elderly mother's health scares that required immediate visits. Sudden emergencies at work that needed her urgent attention. Financial mistakes that required hours of phone calls to banks and credit card companies. The timing was never coincidental. When her husband found suspicious charges on their credit card, suddenly her mother was in the hospital. When he noticed she'd been secretive with her phone, there was a crisis at work that had her stressed and distracted. When he tried to have a serious conversation about their relationship, the car broke down and needed immediate attention. Each crisis was real enough to verify, but minor enough to resolve quickly. Her mother did have health issues. Emma just exaggerated their urgency. Work problems did exist. She simply amplified their importance. The car did need maintenance. She just strategically delayed it until she needed a distraction. The controlled chaos method works because it exploits men's natural instinct to solve problems and protect their families. When faced with a real crisis, questioning your wife's fidelity seems petty and selfish. You're not going to interrogate her about her phone while her mother is supposedly in the emergency room. But here's the truly insidious part. She uses your own good nature against you. Your desire to be supportive, to prioritize family, to handle emergencies responsibly, becomes the weapon she uses to deflect your suspicions and buy time to cover her tracks. Men, I've shared these methods not to make you paranoid, but to help you understand. If a woman truly decides to hide an affair, she can do it with surgical precision. But here's what's truly sad. All these methods require such enormous amounts of energy, planning, and acting skill that in the time it takes to execute them, any relationship problem could have been solved. The woman using these techniques isn't just cheating on you. She's living a double life so complex it would exhaust most people. She's managing multiple storylines, coordinating alibis, manipulating emotions, and maintaining elaborate deceptions. That level of effort could rebuild a marriage, start a new career, or completely transform a life. But instead of investing that energy in fixing what's broken, she's chosen to live in an elaborate lie. And that tells you everything you need to know about where you really stand in her priorities. If you recognized your woman in these methods, the problem isn't that she's cheating. The problem is that your relationship died long ago, and nobody wanted to admit it. These methods aren't just about hiding an affair. They're about hiding from the truth of what your relationship has become. The most painful reality is that a woman who can execute these methods with precision is someone who's already emotionally left the relationship. The affair isn't the cause of your problems. It's the symptom of something that was already broken beyond repair. But here's what I want you to remember. Knowledge is power, and power is choice. Now you know what to look for. You understand the psychology behind the deception. You can see the patterns that most men miss completely. This isn't about becoming paranoid or suspicious of every woman. It's about understanding that if someone wants to deceive you badly enough, they can, but only if you're not paying attention to the right signs. Trust your instincts. They're usually right. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't let anyone convince you that your intuition is paranoia or insecurity. Your gut feelings are data. Treat them as such. And remember this, a woman who truly loves and respects you won't make you feel crazy for having concerns. She won't gaslight you, manipulate your emotions, or create elaborate stories to explain simple questions. She'll be transparent because she wants to preserve your trust, not exploit it. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening in modern relationships, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the daily content that could change your relationship clarity. Hit that like button and share your experiences in the comments. Have you noticed any of these patterns in your relationship? Sometimes the most important support comes from men who've walked the same path. Until next time, stay aware, stay strong, and trust yourself. The truth has a way of revealing itself to those who are brave enough to see it.